Welcome to the Real Estate Investment Nomad Podcast. I am your host, Natalie Salas, an international real estate expert. Join me as we explore the thrilling world of global real estate. We'll uncover diverse international markets, backed by solid data and engaging insights. Each episode features expert guests from the hottest markets, providing you with the knowledge to invest wisely and successfully. Whether you are a local realtor aiming to go global or an investor curious about international opportunities, this is the podcast for you. Get ready to transform your approach and achieve global real estate success to become a real estate investment nomad. Hello, my name is Natalie Salas, and today we are with Unicorn Properties. We're going to be chatting about international real estate, and just so we can get to know each other, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Dawood Bedrosian. I've been practicing real estate for close to 18 years now. I'm located in the Orlando, Florida area, Central Florida, and have been focusing on working with a lot of international clients, a lot of Canadians, a lot of Brazilians, a lot of Chinese people that have looked to invest in our market, as it's proved to be, one of the more desirable markets to invest in, as we've seen in different times in history. Whether it was the 2008 crash or the number of people that decided to flock to the Florida area during COVID.
Perfect. So then have you been there for a while, or you just decided that the market is really good because people want to escape the pandemic?
No, I've been here for 22 years, so I know, Central Florida and many parts of Florida like the back of my hand. I've been kind of like nicknamed from doing Florida properties for so long as just the Florida guy. So whenever we go to a lot of the international meetups or the international conventions, they're always like, oh, the Florida guy is here. So that's what ended up happening when you start marketing yourself as being an international agent rather than a domestic or a local agent in your area.
Yeah, that's true, because I believe that many realtors, I don't know if it happened to you, that they just focus on their market and they don't want to see outside of that. And sometimes I miss the opportunity of going a little more global, or at least, cross boundaries between states. So what do you think about that? How that has helped you, getting, your business out there and getting more clients from different states?
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible opportunity, because what I think you can do differently than you can do in a domestic market, especially when you're working with internationals, there's so many different ways to identify where are going to be profitable markets for you to target. And I'm happy to share all of my tips and tricks in terms of how do you actually penetrate a market? How do you become a market leader in that market? And, we've done it. We had the experience. So I've always said in the courses that I like to teach, especially one of my favorite ones, which is something we're going to probably talk about today, which is how to expand your farm area without actually leaving your desk. So how can you be a Chicago, New York, Florida, California real estate agent, but really cater to different parts of the country, different parts of the world, maybe sell properties in Tulum, maybe sell properties in Dubai? How do you become an international agent? A lot of people are having a hard time just operating within their sphere of influence and wanting to make local transactions. But I think it's really interesting when you can identify a profitable market, and, figure out if they are going to be the best buyers of your property. Mm-hmm. So how do you go about doing all of these things? So let's just break it down into small parts so that I can share with you all the little clues in order for you to go out and do exactly what I've been doing for the last, let's say, 16 years, 18 years or something like that. I think it's really important to understand your market and do the market research and analysis to understand where are people coming from in your market. I think it's really important to understand the local laws in those areas, whether it's a domestic US market, a Canadian market, a Mexican market, a Brazilian market. Find out what the laws are in terms of their ability or inability to purchase in your market. And I think what's important is to identify market niches and understand specifically what clients need. I'll give you a perfect example. The best way to identify a market that is wanting to invest here, the cheat code is simply to go to the National Association of Realtors profile of international transactions done in the United States for the year 2024. And immediately what you're going to end up finding out is $42 billion was the amount of money foreign buyers purchased in residential purchases. 54,300 were the number of foreign buyers purchasing existing homes. And it even breaks down what types of home, what types of foreign buyers, where are they coming from? So I'll give you an example. The number one foreign buyer in the United States were Canadians. They accounted for 13% of all purchases made by foreign buyers. The second grouping were Chinese. They were neck to neck with Mexican investors that accounted for 11%. Now, if you want to break it down even further, it breaks it down for you per year based on the percentage of who's buying from where. And immediately the light bulb will go off in your head and you can say, hey, I speak Spanish. I can go and target a Mexican audience. Maybe I should go set up some seminars down there. Maybe I should set up some Zoom calls down there to attract people for these opportunities. Then the next part is going to be, what am I promoting? Am I promoting properties in Wyoming? Am I promoting properties in Colorado? Or do I really want to follow the numbers and see where the money is going? They always say, follow the money, right? So the top destinations that foreign buyers invested in, number one, Florida, accounted for 20% of all purchases, Texas at 13%, California at 11%, followed by Arizona and then Georgia. And ironically, these are always the same type of states that either drive a lot of investment towards it, or when the market crashed, saw the greatest influx because of the number of investors that have come here. In both cases, it's always a great opportunity because in 2008 was one of the greatest places to purchase in any one of these states affordable real estate that was at an all-time high. But then at the same time, appreciation in states like Florida and Texas have led the pack in terms of all of the US markets that have appreciated, especially if you're looking at the last 4 years, starting from COVID.
Yeah, and I see a lot of at least the Latino community coming to Florida, not only within the US, but also from South America. They're looking to invest safely, some money that they have, at home. The economy in South America can get unstable. I'm originally from Peru, so I understand how, the currency can go up and down. One day you have a house that is worth 500,000, and then the next day is 100, based on the inflation and the politics too.
Yeah.
So
Or a military coup, for example, or instability in the government and so on and so forth. And that's why, when it comes to a lot of Latin investors, what I've come to find is in many cases, especially if there's some kind of political turmoil going in their respective country, a lot of people are moving their funds so that they can park it in a safer haven, a safer environment. It's not necessarily that they're looking for a specific return like other investors from other parts of the country are looking for. So I think it's really important to navigate through the cultural norms and practices to understand the mindset of the people, where are they looking to invest, and how are they looking to pull the trigger so that they can invest with you in your market. Okay, here we go.
Best,
You're
sorry,
back.
an ambulance right here. Based on your experience, what do you think has been the challenges for these transactions coming from different countries? First, we have there's some regulations to make sure the money is, compliant. There's no laundry being, money laundering happening from the country they're from. Are there any hiccups that you have, seen in the past that you're like, make sure you do these 2-3 steps before you bring your money in here because you cannot come here with a bag?
So let's go through the whole process from start to finish. Let's start from the agent looking for the market. The most important thing you need to understand, for starters, is the importance of the cultural understanding of that market that you're entering. What are the navigating and cultural norms of that place? What are their local customs? What are their negotiation styles? What are their communication preferences? Do they want to meet with you one-on-one at their house, or are they okay with a Zoom call? Many different countries vary on that. Do you understand their holiday schedules, that if you were to go visit, if the country is shut down, you're basically going to come and waste your time going there? How do you adapt your marketing and communication strategies to tailor to that audience? Do we need to consider language? If I was to go do a seminar in South America or Central America, I'm going to need a translator. I understand Spanish well, but it's not that great to converse in. I think, we need to respect the legal and ethical standards within that country, how they move money, like you said. Can they buy a property, for example, in a specific corporate entity? I'll give you an example. In Canada, LLCs are not recognized. So we're going to need to figure out how can they take ownership in this process. And most importantly, they are looking to you as the conduit, the go-between, the mediator of this whole transaction. Really, what they're looking for is to build trust through a cultural competence of understanding the culture, the norms, and how to attract many different types of people. You see, with technology, you can do so many things today that you couldn't have done when I first started. So when I would travel to, for example, Canada and present in front of 1,000 or 2,000 people or 5 people, it doesn't matter. I would literally travel with 4 or 5 additional suitcases filled with brochures and papers, and I ended up having to pay luggage fees every single time, right? But today, you can take advantage of social media. You can become an authority in your space, in your market, attracting other people. Maybe, in your market, you can start a channel that is Spanish speaking about investing in real estate. And I think you'd be very surprised to see what you can do. And there's so many different platforms that you can become an authority or have a voice on, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It doesn't matter. There's people watching you from all over the world, and they want to learn more about your market. So the biggest secret is remove the hat of being a realtor and wear the hat of becoming the educator. That's going to be the game changer for anyone looking to enter into this market. Because essentially, what you're going to be doing with many people are engaging with them through Zoom calls, Teams meetings, QR codes if they're visiting your booth, podcasts, interviews, media blitzes. And then, of course, there's a number of online platforms that showcase worldwide properties as well. When
Yeah.
you're actually speaking with someone, you need to become the solution for them. So when people ask me, what do? I can simply answer by saying, I'm a realtor, I'm a real estate agent. No, but really what I can do is be your one-stop shop to buy Florida properties without any headache in the smoothest way possible so that I'm taking care of your furniture packages, property management, accounting, taxes, insurance, repairs, anything that you can think of. And better yet, we can even provide a concierge service so that you know all that's happening in the Orlando area, whether it's going to the best restaurants, attractions, theme parks, whatever the case may be. We're your go-to source so that you can get all the information that you need under one roof. You've created a nice relationship here. You've built trust, but you've been able to satisfy that investor's problems at every step of the way, whether it's looking for a property manager to manage their property, getting a mortgage for the property, or just simply addressing any of their needs along the transaction.
And I think what you say is very important because many local realtors, let's say, if you're locally located in Florida and you don't cater to international investors, probably you're missing out on a lot of the market share. And the other way around happens for us in Mexico. A lot of the realtors locally only know and showcase their listings without understanding who's buying or who's their marketing persona. So having this concierge service is super important because people are coming this way to Florida and some Americans are coming that way down to Mexico. So having that holding hands, not only on I want to sell you a property and getting it out, it's more like, let me have a relationship with you, help you with all the services that are around it. Because if I'm not from this country, probably I will need an attorney, I will need insurance, as you mentioned, how do I pay my taxes? Where do I pay my taxes? Or all these nuances that sometimes local realtors do not understand how to just cross those borders for the
Absolutely.
compliance, right?
And it's more than just compliance. I think it's understanding tax law. It's understanding how to benefit an international buyer to come here. It's understanding that a foreign buyer is going to need an ITIN number, an individual tax identification number. Who goes and does that for you? How do you go about doing that? If there's a problem within your unit, who's going to fix the problem? If the light bulb goes off or the toilet's not working, they're not going to call you in Mexico or China or India or any other country in the world. They're just going to deal with the problem right there. So what we want to do is be able to offer within your market whatever the niche product is. In some cases, it could be farmland. In some cases, it could be condos. Like
Mhm.
a big city, like in New York or Chicago or whatever, it becomes too expensive to buy properties that are single family homes. In Florida, for example, a lot of our Canadian investors, because they were used to condos, wanted to invest in condos. Whereas Floridians, I think for the most part, would like to be beside the water, would like to be, uh, minutes from the ocean, whether it's a lake or an ocean. I think they would all like to have a house in their backyard. And now, as the trend we saw happen with the advent of t property technologies or prop tech companies like Airbnb and all of these types of companies that are coming up, it's becoming an even more desired asset class to have for many people. Except I think the need now is shifting more towards what I'd like to call a lifestyle asset. A lifestyle asset is clearly an asset that you can enjoy whenever you want with your family. It's one that you can obtain rent from, and better yet, it's passive because you've hired a property management company to run it. And of course, when you look at your market and you look at a market like ours, for example, you begin to notice that the Orlando market is the most desirable place to have an investment like that because I think 75 million people, visitors, visited the Orlando market this year alone to date. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of drivers that allow your market to become a desired market for investment. All you have to do is discover what those drivers are, why people are coming here, and then just work backwards to figure out how can you go to them to capture their attention, provide them with the education, provide them with the knowledge for them to make the necessary next step in order to come and invest in your market.
Yeah, I think you touch a key point, which is data and education. You started with your numbers, right? You have your numbers straight. You know what are the trends, the type of market that is joining. They want to buy in Orlando, let's say. So what do you think about immigrations? Can you help them from the beginning to end? Because
So
it used to be a golden visa program in certain countries. Some people migrate through investments in real estate. Is that still the case that you see the trend going that direction, or
So it
it's
just
more?
depends on the type of investor that's coming here. A lot of the investors that we've worked with in the past were simply looking for, a second property, a vacation home, or something to enjoy while they were in town. Some
Mhm.
people have just simply purchased long-term condos, long-term single-family homes for long-term rental. And we've seen them grow their portfolio from 1 unit to 20, 30, 40 plus units over here and worked with those types of investors as well too. You've also seen hedge funds and other huge companies from other countries, including, for example, Canada or Mexico or whatever it is that want to invest their dollars here. And of course, there's the segment that you spoke about. There's a lot of people that are looking to immigrate here for their kids to necessarily go to better universities and schools and are trying to get involved in some kind of an immigration program such as an EB-5 visa where you can make an investment where there is an element of risk to the funds that you're investing and in turn during a period of time over a period of time, I'm not a lawyer so I don't exactly know the exact timing, you can earn a green card for you and your family depending on the circumstances. So we provide legal services as well for a lot of people that I've personally worked with that have helped me, my clients, my friends obtain various types of visas to just simply be here, expand their businesses, and work in, for example, Florida as one of the states here. So yes, we can help with that as well too. And yes, it is a trend that we are seeing in terms of people wanting to locate here through one of these various visa programs.
Yeah, I think I mean, based on the education that you provide as well, I think instead of having like those, which is important too for real estate, showing homes, showing properties, I think the education piece and the content creation on that way in the language that you think your investors understand is super important. So as of right now, like what's your favorite, let's say, channel or resource to put your content for education? And probably that's also lead generation source that you think
Yeah, I
work
really
for you.
think that I really think that like we all have an audience. We all have someone who's quietly, secretly stalking us and watching what we do. They could come in the form of parents, they could come in the form of family, they could come in the form of friends from different parts of the world, or people who are just following your content. And I remember one of the characters from um, no, what's that TV show called? New York, whatever, Ryan Serhant. I can't remember it, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Million dollar listing, New York. That's what it is. And I
Okay.
remember when, people started to post on Instagram just before it started to blow up, and they were like, "Oh, you're never going to get a client from Instagram. It's impossible. Nobody's going to reach out to you to buy a house from social media." Well, it's not true. What kind of information are you putting out? How are you educating people? How are they interacting with you? And what I've realized is a lot of realtors and a lot of people in various industries are always pushing information out towards people. And really, what you want to do is you want to pull them towards you,
Mhm.
right? What value are you adding that they're listening to you? They're hearing what you have to say. And there's several ways in which you can do that. I mean, for me, the platforms that work are on a business side, LinkedIn, on a casual side, Instagram. I post all of my podcasts, my radio shows, as well as my house tours on my YouTube channel, which is Dawood Bedrosian. Just follow me there and you can see all my content. A lot of that content is easily organized. For a lot of people, I know that they're overwhelmed with how much content to produce, how to produce the content, where to put it. And I have a protocol that is so easy to follow. You record an hour's worth of content.
Mhm.
You can divide them into little clips with little captions and little pictures, like we all see now on Instagram and a lot of the social media platforms, which really hook people in for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. That you can break up those pieces into further micro segments as well too, where you can do it as a YouTube short, for example. You can take the audio from the recording and put it on platforms like Libsyn that go out to Apple Music, Spotify, and your podcast will air on these platforms as well too. In addition to that, you can use a service like Nota or Trint, for example. And what you can do is take the video or the audio, plug it into any one of these platforms, and have it spit out exactly what the verbiage was. But now you can convert it into a blog post and add it onto your website. And all of these are going to be drivers for all the different audience members that are watching you from different ways, different portals. Like I have older family members that when I went on a vacation halfway around the world in India, they're like, "Hey, we follow all of your stuff. We love what you have to say. By the way, my cousin is looking to buy something. He's at this wedding. You should meet him."
Mhm.
So the point is, as long as your message is getting out there, people are following you, people are understanding what you're looking at, and you're clearly adding value all the time. There's so many ways in which you can take one piece of content and break it up into smaller pieces to cater to different audience members that are absorbing your information in their own way, in the way that they prefer, but they're getting your message. I love going to a restaurant and hearing from people that say, "You're everywhere. I see you on Facebook. I see you on YouTube. I see you on," and that's what happens, right? And then when they're ready, they're going to come to you and they're going to say, "Hey, by the way, I want to introduce you to somebody, or I'm looking to buy a property and I see the last property that you put up. How much is that? What area is it in?" That's how the conversation starts.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's funny how you run the world. So we're, global right now citizens because now with pandemic, we can work from anywhere. And I like that what you mentioned, sometimes we get burdened with the content and creating content, but that's so useful for some people that are watching. And probably some agents lose patience, they don't want to wait. They want something right away, something that somebody's gonna buy out of the ad, or they want to see your post, they're gonna buy. But it takes some time. It's not like it happens overnight. It takes like about maybe reiteration of they see you on Instagram, they see you on Facebook, they see you in events in person. So there's some level of patience that we need to have, at least with international buyers and investors, that it might take a year or two. So has it happened to you that
Yeah,
somebody?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, when we first started, the way that I was able to enter the market was to use the brand that I was under and literally call the different brokerages. And at the time, just like now, if I was to come to Chicago and come to Unicorn Properties and say, "I would like to do a class for all of your agents about how you can invest and buy Florida properties," and then have all the agents invite all of their clients to an evening session, for example, where they can bring all their clients that might be interested, and say, hey, we brought a special speaker from Florida that's here to teach you about Florida properties. Listen, if you get one or two sales from that, you would have covered your flight costs, your touring costs, your advertising costs, your whatever cost that you. And in many cases, a lot of people are interested in learning how to do these things. It becomes easier for you as a realtor to become an educator in a specific field and become an authority in that field, because you may not be the authority in your market, but you are virtually the authority that people come and want to follow and talk about, because now you're specialized in that field.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because
that's how
you're a
people follow
connector.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're a connector. And I feel like when I talk to some agents that want to stay local, and it's okay to stay local and focused, but at the same time, having this connection, like you and I were talking about, Florida real estate, and probably I wasn't listening to my client that was like, hey, do you know anybody in Florida? But I'm always paying attention where people are moving to and from,
Yeah.
because then that's a lead for us to refer back to our partner agents or within the network. So many realtors miss out on that part of like, hey, it's not only about the local market. Like you said, you could be a local expert, but I mean, you're going to be one out of 30,000, right?
Can I share a success story with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Please.
So here are two stories really quickly. I
Mhm.
went to a investor summit last year, and one of the ladies that was in this group was in a group of 5, 6 people, and they wanted to buy a number of properties together. We spoke, we got along, we met one another. It was incredible. And for whatever reason, she took a liking towards me and decided to introduce me to her partner. We had a nice meeting. We sat down. He's like, I have all of these clients that want to do these sort of things. And they range from, buying a hotel to buying a strip plaza to buying 50 acres of land or 100 acres of land or whatever it is. I'm not going to tell you that I'm a professional in any one of these fields. I have some information. I do have a lot of help that I can leverage, and I have a team that I can work with in different areas. As a result of that, we get on a call, and all of a sudden there is a group that's looking to buy, acreage in urban areas for high-rise buildings. Once again, not my area, but because I'm the connector, within 2 minutes, they had two different groups of agents that I work with that can provide exactly what they're looking for, whether it's a 30 million, 50 million, $100 million site. I don't have the listing. I don't know much about it, but I know how to connect people. And if I get a referral out of it, that's exactly what I want to do. Our business model was built on the basis of saying, how do I leverage my relationships with brokers, with realtors, in order to go out and be able to capture new markets? You see, what the agent is doing is they're providing you with the client.
Mhm.
Essentially, their job goes from realtor to marketer, because their job is to market Florida properties. And let me explain to you how this works. You're sitting in Chicago or New York or Toronto or whatever city that you're in, and everybody knows you as the realtor in your local market. They've probably seen your billboard, your bus stop. I know I've personally never called anybody from a billboard or a bus stop for that matter. So unless you like to post a nice big 40-foot picture of you across the highway, good for you. Okay. My way of learning how to communicate with people came through doing seminars, through webinars, through broker networks. And with time, things have changed. We went from going to infiltrate broker networks and have the brokers say, hey guys, we're offering Florida properties. And then automatically people are like, I thought you were in Chicago. Are you moving? Are you relocating? How are you doing that? No, I actually work with a team of people that are able to facilitate those kind of transactions, and they're going to help you from A to Z with everything. Would you be interested to learn more? Yes. So in the past, we'd drive them into a live seminar where they would come and attend, have their coffees and donuts or whatever it is, listen to the presentation. Whoever was interested would either A, stay back, or have a one-on-one meeting. Now, with digital marketing campaigns and being able to still infiltrate broker networks online digitally, you can essentially attend virtual international property shows. You can attend live property shows. You can use local advertising. For example, we did this with many different ethnic groups. If we wanted to attract a Portuguese or Latin community. And for example, Toronto, there were so many different Spanish radio stations or Portuguese radio stations or newspapers that a lot of local people still listen to and still learned about because it was in their language. You can attend a lot of broker events. You can do virtual tours for a lot of people because once they meet you, they want your help and they want to figure out how to do it. In some cases, I've done videos about properties that because of the tags that the videos were tagged in, I got a phone call today for a person who's selling or listing the exact same house that I sold that was the highest priced house in the area. And he goes, I've been talking to a lot of people. The first question was, how much commission are you going to charge? I go, before we talk about commission, let's talk about exposure. Let's talk about how many more people your property can get in front of rather than just being on the MLS or on Zillow. Because I know that my radio show goes out to 250,000 people weekly. I know that my numbers on my social media platforms hit this many people and they go this far out. We work with international broker groups that are always working with investors looking to invest in certain parts. You can leverage those kind of relationships. I'm not trying to toot my horn. What I'm trying to do is offer everybody the different type of opportunities that you are able to tap into while leveraging those relationships in different markets. So for example, maybe you and I could meet in Orlando, for example, or I can come to Chicago and use your influencer partnerships to your audience to now market different properties. Maybe we do a seminar or a webinar together to all of your database and say, hey, we have the Florida expert here with us. He's going to be able to guide you from start to finish. Would you like to attend our webinar to learn more about investing in Florida, for example? And that's how you leverage those kind of relationships.
Yeah, 100%. I think the collaboration piece is something not everybody takes advantage of. And at least for us in our network, right, it's being about connecting with each other. And that's, I always have you like in mind. We just went to the conference in Lisbon from the International Real Estate Conference, the first one from EXP, and we were able to connect with everybody in different countries. But having that one-on-one in person, that sometimes is hard to do because the world is too big, helps so much on those connections because you keep them top of mind. Like, okay, Orlando, I know I can go to you. Dawoud is here and he can help you with all your clients there. Italy, let's say, who's in Rome, and then Spain, who's in Portugal. So I think having these connections, but also personal touch is so important because sometimes online is one thing, but when you meet in person, you actually can tell the personality, how efficient they are, how good they are, they're going to follow up with the clients because sometimes realtors don't call the leads. And
one of the best, yeah, you are absolutely right about that. And I think in addition to that, the part that needs to be identified even more is actually trust. They need to know that they're working with somebody competent that understands exactly their needs from the country that they're coming from. And I love telling the success story. Imagine being stuck at home during COVID, having to launch a development. It's a daunting task. Where do you find buyers when you can't leave your house? Where do you find buyers when they're not looking for properties, physically not looking for properties? So you have to become inventive. You have to start to think outside the box. And one of the things that we did that helped us to become massively successful during this time period was actually connect with other brokers in different parts of the country. We literally did 3 online, let's call them brunches, webinars, Facebook Lives, whatever you want to call them, StreamYards. The first one attracted about 100 guests through a very influential broker group in the specific city that we were in. The second one attracted about 300 people. And the third one attracted about 400 people because they were very interested in investing in this market in that point in time. In turn, this realtor group ended up basically bringing their client base and did 30 to 40 deals with us without even coming to Florida, without seeing the property, because we handled the whole transaction. I don't even know how much money that they made. I'm sure it was very close to 7 figures, if not more. So, there's a great opportunity when you tap into international marketing to not only tap into different markets, but really leverage how you can actually earn an income and and better yet, add value to your clients so that they're not only looking at you as, the expert of your area, but really the international expert that can help them in other areas that they may be interested to invest in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Those are really good numbers for webinars. And sometimes we miss the ball. Sometimes you're like, we have to be in person all the time. But with COVID, we get so creative. You increase, that base from 100 to 400 or 500. So that's very rewarding because technology has helped us do this. And we wouldn't have thought about it until the pandemic happened. So I think tech platforms are super important. Do you have any favorite that you like, that you're like, why can I live without this one? Or you have a set of systems in place that can help you do this, process transactions, follow-ups, and
Yeah, so
connections mostly.
I think we all need to be cognizant of what we're great at. I think that's the first place to start, right? I am a very high level, bird's eye view, big picture kind of guy. My partner is the perfect complement to who I am, which is very meticulous, very detail oriented. He's not going to miss a step, whereas I could potentially miss a step or two. But where I excel at is, for example, public speaking, speaking in front of a lot of people, attracting people to whatever we are doing. And then I can have all the right people in the team go through it. A game changer for me was hiring a team of virtual assistants. They organize my CRM. I simply tell them what kind of advertising that I'm looking to do, what posts I'm looking to post. I have a team halfway around the world that basically edits my videos and my clips. I have a team that I record my podcasts in, and I'm not there trying to figure out what cameras to buy, how to edit it, where to send it. It automatically goes through the process. So if I record a podcast, the podcast is recorded on a Friday. You may get the video on a Monday or Tuesday. My virtual assistant knows to send it to the team to put it into clips. They know to write a blog post, put the audio on Libsyn so that it goes out to all the different platforms. So basically, whoever is willing to listen to anything that I had to say, if they're interested, has several ways in which to get a hold of it. Well, they also are EXP transaction coordinator experts. So I get a phone call saying, hey, you have this listing coming up. Don't worry about it. Just send me the paperwork. I'll take care of everything else. That takes away a lot of time. When you're doing international sales, what you really want to be doing is trying to figure out how to get in front of people all the time, how to make the right alliances so that you can go visit those people and they can attract people towards you. Remember, you are the expert in your field. You're trying to create alliances with other people who are essentially going to become your marketing arms for you. If you take care of them, they will take care of you.
Yeah. Because I find a lot of realtors that want to do everything themselves, and they're the accountant, they're the CRM, they're the public, the relationship with the clients. But you want to drop the ball at one point, right?
I was the one who did everything, and I
So,
like doing everything. But I've come to realize that I'm better at certain things and not so good at other things. And instead of frustrating myself for an hour trying to figure out Photoshop, I can go to Fiverr. I can go to one of my virtual assistants and tell them, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. I need a presentation. I need it to look like this. I need it to say this. And I can't tell you, as great as you think you're going to do an incredible job, these guys are experts at what they do. And I'm oftentimes surprised by the results that they come up with because the content that they've produced, the incredible information that they're able to present in a very visual manner is not only appealing to the eye, but better than anything that I would have wasted my time on trying to create where you don't have the knowledge, the skill, or the wherewithal to be able to create it.
Yeah, just focus on your zone of genius and excel at it. That's a great, point of view. And just to conclude, this talk, what would be an advice that you would tell a new agent that is trying to get into the market, and sometimes local transactions seem too big and you're too busy with this, the everyday stuff. But if they want to explore the international, markets, what advice would you give them to be like, that you will give even your younger self, like prioritize, focus, like what will be your
I actually really love this question. And I heard this in a speech by Myron Golden. I really love this video. I think if you have the opportunity to watch this video, I think you need to understand this. I think the best piece of advice that you can tell a new agent is the following. Listen, if you're going to trade time for money, then your output, your result is only going to be based on how much it's worth.
Mhm.
So if you're doing, if you're making $10 an hour, $100 an hour, there's only so many hours you can work.
Mhm.
There's only so many deals that you can do as a new agent. So the only way to level up when you first start is you're going to do one or two deals. You're not going to know how to go and do it. Maybe you're going to do 5 or 10. You maybe have a breakout star that will do 10 or 20, which is incredible in their first year. But I think what is really important is to understand the process and the progress and understand the shortcut in terms of how to get there even faster. And new agents, especially younger new agents, are at the forefront of being able to capture this information and become immensely successful with it because you can catapult to exactly the level that you want. And here's the secret. The next step up is either to do more sales, so more frequency, higher volume in order to make more money,
Mhm.
but you're still stuck in that rat race. The second option is to unify people and either A, create a team, a group, so that you can leverage your strength. But at the end of the day, there's also a cap to what you could potentially make because there's only so many people that are going to go out there, do the sales, do the running around, be that effective or be that kind of real estate killer that you may be, but a lot of people aren't. Maybe they don't have the same drive. So, your potential goes from, let's say, 100 grand to $500,000. Big deal. How do you level up from here?
Mhm.
What's the next most important tool? To me, language is the tool. It's communication is such a high value skill. Learn how to hone your ability to speak, to communicate, to connect with people in order to elevate your client engagement, in order to expand your market reach and your opportunities. And if you're able to leverage it in a language and a negotiation and a problem solving, you're already ahead of the curve, right? And by able to do that, what you're doing, the easiest way to do that is when I say it's easier for younger people, they're not afraid to be in front of a camera versus older new agents don't like to be in front of camera. They don't want to communicate with people. They keep saying, I don't like the way that I sound. I don't like the way that I look. Today, I'm not wearing enough makeup or I'm not wearing nice clothes or whatever the case may be. The truth of the matter is the person who's listening to you has always listened to you. They know what you sound like. They know what you look like. So if you're afraid to communicate that information, that's the problem. So in order to go from $500,000 to $100 million, become the most effective communicator, become the authority figure in your market, become the thought leader for why people want to follow your content. Why do they like your content? Maybe you're covering the coolest restaurants, places to be in town, some new attraction, a new development, a new hotel that opened. And all of a sudden, you're pulling people towards you. And then when you have that one listing, you go, here's my listing video. If you have a question, if you're interested, come back to learn from me. But the way that I tell real estate agents to make a massive amount of money is the biggest secret that I learned here, which is the most obvious secret. And I hate to say it this way, but one of my old broker slash bosses that was a broker investor basically said, the only way for you to make money is not to chase commissions,
Mhm.
but make it in the buy of real estate, not on the sell. So if you know how to buy a property correctly, it's always going to appreciate whether the real estate market trends upwardly or trends downwardly. Real estate will always trend upwardly over time.
Mhm.
So the most amount of money is going to come not from an ongoing process of just doing commissions, but get involved, make that investment, figure out how you can leverage your relationships with other investors, and maybe they will want to include you in the deal. Maybe you have a little money to invest. Maybe you can roll a commission and invest in a deal. That's what I would tell agents to do. Learn how to communicate your message to the widest audience possible. Be that person that goes to the top of the mountain so that everybody can hear who you are and know exactly who you are, and then figure out how to make that income reinvest it in yourself and invest it in investments because income always follows assets.
Mhm. That's amazing advice. And I think number one, don't trade time for money. I think that has been my learning the last 10 years. And thank you so much for saying that because we get stuck sometimes in the rat race and it's just the same as having a job.
Yep.
But that's awesome. Thank you so much, Dawood. How can we find you online? What are your handles?
Yeah, so it's really simple. On Instagram, it's Dawood Bedrosian, so Dawood, last name Bedrosian, Bedrosian. You can also find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, as well as my YouTube channel, which is Dawood Bedrosian as well too, where you can see lots of clips, lots of podcasts, and more importantly, a lot of cool homes that we have filmed and we are sharing with you as well too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us. Again, this is Natalie Salas with Unicorn Properties. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
See ya.
Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate Investment Nomad podcast. I hope today's episode has inspired you to explore new horizons in global real estate. Remember, the world is full of opportunities waiting to be discovered. And with the right insights, you can turn those opportunities into successful investments. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us bring you the best content possible. Don't forget to follow us in social media for more resources and updates. Until next time, my friends, this is Natalie Salas, encouraging you to think big, invest globally, and transform your real estate journey. Safe travels and happy investing.